Have you ever flown in conditions that you knew were not the safest, but you did it anyway, and everything turned out fine? And then you did it again, and then you did it again, and so on. Well, without realizing it, you fell into a cognitive bias that is very dangerous and very common in paragliding, called the normality bias. Welcome to this video series about decision-making, and especially about the cognitive biases that affect paragliders so much. So what is the normality bias? Very simple. When you do something that deviates from the norm, from safety rules, or from established standards, and after that there are no consequences, no negative effects, your brain assumes that what you did was fine, and therefore normalizes it. In this way, you become blind to the dangers and risks involved in that first reckless action, especially when you repeat it. You simply feel that there is nothing dangerous, nothing risky, and that you are not doing anything wrong. What at first was a small transgression, a small exception, little by little becomes a new normal. And the problem is that this new normal also keeps getting worse. It is like a vicious circle, until you reach a point where you start performing actions that are truly reckless and dangerous, and that can put your life at risk. A very common example for us here in Lima, Peru, is Miraflores. We fly in dynamic conditions, and toward the end of the afternoon the wind starts to cross. It becomes more and more sideways. At first, it is very common for pilots to have some respect for this crosswind, but because it is so frequent, little by little they get used to flying in increasingly crosswind conditions. They even start launching when the wind comes from land to sea, that is in the completely opposite direction, which is very dangerous, because it puts you in a situation where you are flying in rotor. This does not happen overnight. Obviously, that pilot went from less to more, from slightly crosswind to more crosswind, until reaching a point where they put their life at risk by flying with extremely crosswind conditions or land-to-sea wind. That is why pilots are closely monitored when they try to break the rules and start flying with winds that are more and more crossed. That is also why we have a colored flag system to indicate to pilots when they should and when they should not launch. Remember, every small successful deviation reinforces the wrong idea that everything was fine, that everything was safe. And this does not only happen with launches, it can also happen in flight conditions, in small or dangerous landings, or in any other activity where you know you are breaking a safety rule. And since nothing happened, your brain starts telling you, I think everything is fine, and I think we can keep doing this. And in that way, we become more and more tolerant of risk and danger. Now the key question is, how do we break this cycle, this vicious circle of normality? Number 1, set non-negotiable personal rules. For example, in Miraflores, I do not fly with crosswind, or I do not launch if I don't have an alternate landing, or I do not fly if, when I measure the wind strength, it exceeds 30 kilometers per hour. If you ever make an exception to this, be aware that you took a possibly unnecessary risk, and the fact that there were no negative consequences does not mean you can do it again. Number 2, do not confuse luck with skill. This is also very common among pilots. They tend to be very egotistical, very proud, and when something goes well, they think it is the result of their great skill, when many times it is simply good luck. In your analysis, after having committed a small fault, a transgression of the rules, and nothing happened, ask yourself honestly, was it really me, or was it luck that nothing happened? If it was luck, then simply do not repeat it, because it makes no sense to flip a coin to see whether or not you put your life at risk. Third, listen to those small internal alarms. That little voice inside you that tells you, don't do it. Many times that intuition is much more accurate than the impulsive actions we might take. Fourth, talk to more experienced pilots or to your instructor about something that, for you, was a rule transgression or that felt very risky. Not everything is written down. Sometimes we make decisions and feel that something bad could have happened. Talk about it. Get a second opinion. That person might tell you that what you did was indeed dangerous and that you should avoid it in the future. Fifth, remember that safety is like a bank account. Every time you do something dangerous, you are withdrawing money from that account. And there will come a point when your balance reaches zero. That moment, when your account is empty, means you can have an accident. Do not accumulate unpaid bills. On the contrary, every sensible and well-thought-out action you take is like adding money to that bank account. The normalization bias is a silent bias. It works slowly inside your mind. It does not hit you head-on. It does not shout at you. It settles in, slowly, like a computer virus. It does it flight after flight, until suddenly, boom, you have an accident, and it may be too late to fix it. So do not normalize small imprudences. Do not negotiate with safety. Become a fanatic. Become obsessed with safety. Because true mastery in flying is not about challenging conditions or limits, but about knowing when to say no. That's it for this video. Thank you very much for listening. I hope it was useful. I hope you liked it. Leave a comment if you have ever fallen into this normality bias. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you in the next video.